Hello! Welcome back to the Wales English YouTube channel. I'm Naomi, and today I'm going to be talking to teacher Camille. Wales English is marketed as elite online education in China, and therefore it is passionate about quality assurance. For that reason, Wales English teachers are randomly evaluated. Camille is going to tell us all about the evaluation process and just how important it is to Wales English classes. Hey Camille, thank you so much for joining me today.
Hey Naomi, thanks for having me.
Would you like to start by telling us a little something about yourself?
Of course, my name's Camille. I'm from Scotland. I'm in Scotland at the moment and it's very wet and cold. I'm also half French though, and that's not something that many people know about me. And I've been at Wales for nearly 2 years.
Happy almost 2-year anniversary.
Thank you.
As somebody who's been here for a long time, you will be very familiar with the evaluation process. How important is this process?
For me, it's super duper important, and it's one of the things that I appreciate probably one of the most, to be honest, about Wales from a professional point of view. It gives me the chance to keep growing, and it gives me the chance to actually learn more and continually develop the way that I approach my classes.
Would you like to give us a basic idea of what the evaluations entail?
Yeah, of course. So basically they are chosen at random, and you will have an experienced teacher who watches your class, feeds you back some info on what you did really, really well as some things that you could maybe do better and stuff that you can continue to work on with some actionable advice, which personally I find to be the most important part.
So you would say that the evaluators are looking for the positives in your lesson and then giving you constructive advice on that.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's something that I think is almost a myth about evaluations that's quite pervasive, to be honest, is that it's some kind of nitpicking exercise and that it's something to be dreaded, that kind of ping in your inbox. But yeah, it's super important to know that they're looking just as much, if not more, for the good things, because obviously there's so much that goes really, really well in the class. But also they're going to give you, maybe, if there is anything to work on, some tips on how you can improve, but not only what you can improve, how you can do it. Maybe some actual kind of step-by-step advice, or at least some guidance, or kind of pointing in the right direction in terms of webinars, files, things like that, which is super useful.
It's really nice to know that it's not just about telling you the things you did wrong and saying this was terrible. They're looking for the positives on the most part and then giving you ways you can actually improve. It's not just like a dead end thing.
Yeah, exactly, totally. There's a really good word for it. That is somewhere in the files, but it's all about a kind of growth mindset and the fact that we're all learning from each other, and that it's all kind of teacher to teacher, which is really cool as well.
On the topic of getting constructive feedback, have you ever received some feedback in an evaluation that has helped you with your future classes?
That's a really good question, actually, yeah. So back when I first started, peer-to-peer was something that I was terrified of, something that I just didn't touch, to be honest, at all. So obviously it came up in an evaluation pretty early on in my Wales career. And that advice that I got there, super straightforward. I think there were maybe 2 or 3 steps, and the evaluator had gone to quite a bit of effort just to, point out how I can introduce peer-to-peer. They could tell it was something I wasn't that into. And from there, it has spiraled into one of my biggest passions. And it's something that I'm really, really always working on improving, being more creative with. And that all stemmed from one little suggestion in an evaluation. So yeah,
it's really nice, I think, with the evaluation. Sometimes all you need is that one little thing to click and it just gives you the ideas for so much more. You just get one idea and then it snowballs into so many more, and it's really nice.
Totally. It's also really cool as well if you're trying something a bit different in class and it just so happens that you're evaluated on that one and they tell you, actually, I really like the way you did that. And it kind of legitimizes this whole new, testing things out. And that's something I really appreciate too.
I guess that's the issue with being in an online classroom. There's nobody really watching us. So if you try something, you never know if it's working or not. So to have the outside perspective of someone say, yeah, that really worked, or no, that didn't work, is really nice.
Totally. I agree.
Yeah. And something that some Wales English teachers may not know is that the evaluators are fellow teachers. They are experienced in the Wales English curriculum. How does it make you feel to know that?
It's, for me, a huge relief, because I'll be honest, before I found that out, I just saw it as some kind of magical black box that I taught my students, forgot about that recording, and then a couple of weeks or months down the line, all of a sudden it ends up in my mailbox and I don't quite know what happened in the in-between. But knowing that actually you've got other experienced teachers dedicating time out of their lives to watch your class, tell you what you did really well, give you some advice so that you can keep growing and develop and give your students a better experience, I find really, really, really helpful, and I love knowing that that's there.
It's nice that it's almost done on like a teacher by teacher basis. It's not just some checklist that Wales English is following to see if you meet all the criteria.
Yeah, exactly, totally.
Camille, I know that you have received a few 5 out of 5 evaluations in your time. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Do you have any top tips to other teachers on how to achieve those scores?
Yeah, well, it's something I've been asked a few times. My top phrase, which probably everyone has heard by now, especially shout out to Alex, because I think he maybe coined it. But effort over outcome is the biggest thing that I would suggest you bear in mind. Being aware of what's on the checklist, understanding kind of what we need to be doing to give our students the best experience, but also remembering that you can't control everything. And as long as you're going in with that kind of positive mindset that you're going to give it your best shot, there's not much else that you can really do there. Don't worry if things don't quite go how you want them to go. It doesn't mean they've gone badly.
That's some really nice advice. And I think we've all been in classes where we've closed our laptops and thought, that was a really terrible class. I really hope that doesn't get evaluated. Have you ever felt that way?
Yes, actually really recently, I think maybe a month or two ago, I had a shocker of a class with tech issues, I think on everyone's side, to be honest. It was just going a bit wild. And it was one of those classes where the students weren't all that engaged, the tech issues were throwing us off. And I thought, I bet you anything that'll be the one that's evaluated. And it was terrible. And it was. And actually, it wasn't so terrible. And having that kind of objective view from the outside in, one of the kind of comments was that I handled the tech issues really well. I tried my best and made sure that they didn't affect the students' experience. So you can be your own worst critic, and it's really useful having that kind of support mechanism in place to reassure you, I guess, that actually it's not all that bad.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and your tips about evaluations. It's been really insightful.
Thank you so much, Naomi. Good to speak to you.